Fired up to get to the Rude Guest Hotline. Rude's the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. Talk to our friend, Mr. Santana Moss.
Tanner Man.
Santana, what up, dude? How are you?
I'm good. How y'all, man?
Man, we good, man.
Let's start with your national morning show debut. I saw on Instagram you were on the Today Show.
Yeah. So I was doing something for Verizon this past weekend. I host this Fan Fest event at Northwest Stadium. What Verizon did this year, they had 30 different Fan Fest events all across the world, all across the country. I mean, to every city that had a football team, and they got, veterans from that particular area, that particular team to go out there and host, their fan base. And so I was the host for our area. We had Mark Mosey there. We had Mark Ripton there, and then CP also was there. And then they doubled down and say, hey, we need you to go and talk about the event and how it went on the Today Show, on Monday morning for us. So, hey, I said, yeah, I'll do it. And I pulled up on Today's Show, and it was fun, man. It was a fun time. It was my first time, and I think everything went well,
What's your call time for the Today Show?
So I had to be there at 8:30, and I was going to be on by 9:30. So, me, I was up probably like at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's New York, so you don't know what to expect. You don't know how far you got to go. And luckily, fortunately, it was literally down the street from me, so I could actually walk. But I had my guy Stu there, and he rode me there, and he just stood outside and waited on me.
All right.
It was a fun time, man. Great experience, and I was happy to be a part of Verizon and the Fan Fest that they put on for all the cities.
Was it what you expected?
Well, the show itself, I didn't know what to expect, BMitch. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? I think one of the things I appreciate about so much of the TV that I've done the last few years and radio and different things that we do now with our pre and post game show, I was prepared for it. But I didn't know what to expect. And it was crazy because they were trying to tell me, hey, bear with us. And I'm like, I do this every day almost, you know what I'm saying? So I know how it is to be sitting around. I know how it is to be sitting around to get ready for a set, and it doesn't always start when you think it's going to start. So a lot of them didn't understand or knew that I was doing the things that I was doing back in Washington. So they actually found out that day.
That's cool. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, that is a serious platform, dude. A lot of people are watching that Today Show. Were the people lined up outside and everything?
I couldn't hear what you said.
Were the people lined up outside and everything?
Yeah, that was funny, man. Like I got up, I leave the show, and you got fans out there with cards and things that they want you to sign, jerseys and stuff. So that was a surprise to me. That was surprising to me. But like I said before, I barely ever watched that show. I've heard about it. I know my grandmother and mom them watch it, but I never myself personally. I'm a guy that turn on ESPN before I turn on anything in the morning. And so to have that experience with everything, and having that experience kind of open you up to everybody else knowing what you do. So I was very appreciative of them giving me the opportunity.
That's awesome.
Yep.
My wife watches it. Talking with our friends.
So did your mom and your grandmama see you on that, Tanner?
Well, my mom, they was locked and loaded. My brother Norris, he does TV and he does movies, so he actually was tuned in, and he basically had it everybody who missed it, he had the link for them to go watch it. So it was pretty cool. I'm leaving from the thing, and I'm getting all these text messages and DMs from people talking about they saw me. So it was pretty cool, man. We do things locally, and then I guess now with the YouTube stuff, a lot of people see us do what we do sports-wise or for the for our local team and stuff. But to actually be on Today's Show, that was big, man.
It was, because I was getting a lot of texts myself.
Yeah. There's an interesting shift, I think, in media that the notion of locality is like completely evaporated, and it's more like when you guys do your post-game show, that going out on the Commanders' social channels reaches wherever, but there are Commanders fans in Germany and Iowa and Portland, you know what I mean? And so I think locality is kind of leaving, and more things are like team or city based. Like, all right, I root for Washington teams, even though I live in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Versus Today's Show is just such a powerful national, international platform that it's hitting a different audience.
Getting everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, now it was big, man. I was kind of, you know how it is, BMitch, when you're not sure about how to, what to expect. So I was like, I had a little butterflies, like I was getting ready to go out there and catch a punt or, run a deep route. But once you get on that set, man, you're like, hey, man, I've been doing this long enough now. So, once they said it's time to go, it was showtime,
I always say, you know what you're talking about. Hell, they don't know what you're talking about. That's what, look, whenever they ask me to talk about football or talk about me, hell, I'm the expert, not you.
They're asking you for a reason.
Yes.
Talking with our friend Santana Moss on the Rude Guest Hotline. Check him out on Instagram at 8229. Tana, what'd you think of the Super Bowl, man?
I was a little disappointed, man, to say the least. I think I wanted KC to win because I wanted to see history, I'm a big Andy Reid fan. So beyond what Pat Mahomes does, how special he is as a quarterback, I truly want to see Andy Reid be held to a higher standard, when it comes to all the things he's done. I still believe he deserves to be talked about a little more in that category of being one of the better, head coaches in the league ever. But I definitely wanted those guys to take him down. But like I said before, I was scared and nervous about the game because I knew Philly was the better team. I just didn't know if Philly was going to be that dominant, that early in the game and throughout the whole 60 minutes, the entirety of the game. And they did. It was almost like watching our game when we was up there. The only thing I can say, I had a lot of confidence in what I, actually endured or went through this year with our team, just seeing that even though we had that game, that last NFC Championship game where we had that many turnovers, I feel like we still had answers for what Philly was doing to us. And when I'm watching that Kansas City and Philly game, I didn't see the answers. I didn't see the Pat Mahomes, them having answers for that. And so I was kind of proud to know that our guys really went out there and gave Philly, more than anybody expected them to do. And it probably would have been a better, game if we was out there playing Kansas City and probably got a chance to pounce on them. But, I'm not one of those bitter guys. I'm still happy that, a guy like Jalen Hurts, man, who's gotten so much thrown at him, he's able to host up that trophy, man, and to be able to do it what first time. I mean, I think he's been twice in 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him get his first Super Bowl,
It's looking at, and I felt the same. I think Philly, Washington played Philly and handled things a little better than Kansas City's offense did. And I believe that looking back at the season, I'm confident going into next season knowing that they're going to correct some things. What are your thoughts on that?
I feel the same way you feel, B. I think when you look at how huge the turnover was when it came to just getting guys in the building, new guys in the building, getting rid of a lot of the old guys and surprising us at times, getting rid of some of these guys. And then for us to go out there and play as well as we played out the gate, no one expected that. I know I didn't. I was one of those guys, even when we were talking about predictions of, what the season should look like, win and loss wise. I was like, look, I'm okay if we just win 2 more games than we did last year. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew it takes time. We've been on those teams where, man, you can't just come in there and have immediate success like that when you have everything new. And then you're expecting a young quarterback, not knowing how he was going to, mature throughout the season. But, having a guy like that, man, has proved to me and showed me that, they're out there. There's Jaden Daniels like people out there, a guy who's going to come in laser focused, already mature in his own right, have a good support system, have a good foundation, and that's going to basically grow week in and week out and develop himself along with the coaches and the players around him and be that kind of contributor for you out the gate. So I was happy to see us have so much success. And then now you look going forward, you say, well, we have a lot of talent there. So should we keep a lot of those guys? I say yes, but I'm not the guy in that. I don't wear that hat, so I can't tell you what they're going to do. But then I also know there's a ton of guys out there that probably was better than some of our other talent, and now they want to come. So do we have the money to go out there and get them, which I know we do. So I'm looking forward to just seeing what we do right now. This is the first time in many years that I look forward to just seeing some of the acquisitions that we pick up far as free agents wise and drafts, and then to see what they can add to the team that we've already have. I think we have a nice base. They built the culture already. So every man that comes in here that walks through that building that they potentially say they're going to pick up this year, they're going to already know what the culture is about. Now it's about, do they want to be a part of it?
Totally. Talking with our friend Santana Moss here on the Rude Guest Hotline. Tana, I think it's also a unique time going into this free agency period, knowing this is a good team that can play at a high level and they could just get better. And honestly, just feeling a real sense of kind of faith and support in the offseason, in the front office decision making.
Mhm.
That said, is there a direction you would go? Like, do they have to add? I don't know, a D tackle? Do they have to add a corner or a wide out? Like, is there something you think they must address?
Um, just watching how we played this year, man, I truly believe that most of the games are won and lost in the trenches. I do believe that offensive line, you can never get enough of those guys, and then definitely on our D line. Whether we add to there or whether we replace a guy or two here and there, I don't know. I'm like I said before, I don't wear that hat, so I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions. But I think you have to be stout in both of those areas. Along with that, if you're good up front defensively, then the guys in the secondary don't have to worry. They don't have to cover as long. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but you can add a corner here and there too. But I feel like if you take care of first things first and making sure that front seven is intact, then now we can put guys up there who would, like we already have in the building, and Lattimore and Sanderfield and whoever we have backing those guys up to go out there and do the thing. And that's the same way I feel as a receiver. When you have the quarterback position, locked, now you have to make sure you have the guys there to protect him. And if you have enough guys to protect him, he can make everybody special on the outside. Yeah, you might need a number two here and there, but you don't necessarily do. You know what I mean? I've been on plenty of teams where I've been that guy. And I could do a lot of things, but if my quarterback can't get me the ball, then you don't know where 10 is at. You don't know where 89 is at. 89 hasn't showed up because they can't get the ball to me. You see what I'm saying? Because we don't have the protection. So I truly believe that the trenches should be first and foremost, and then behind that, you can try to add here and there where you see fit.
For sure.
Totally.
There is a lot of excitement though about T. Higgins. I'm curious just what you see in his game. He looks to be the biggest piece. Maybe Chris Godwin in Tampa too. Maybe Cooper Kupp. You got to trade for him. But specific to Higgins, what do you see when you watch him?
I mean, watching Higgins, I almost feel bad for him, being that he's out there playing with Jamar Chase, because he's arguably a number one on anybody else's team. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But he has to basically, be Wade on the Miami Heat to LeBron James when it comes to his position playing alongside of Jamar Chase. I think he can go anywhere and be that guy and be that dominant or whatever for anybody, because he's just that kind of a player. If we add a piece like that to our team, I truly believe that he makes us that much better in the passing game, because now you have a guy that if you want to double Terry, you want to get Terry out of the game, you can't. You got to pick your poison now. You got to, and having a T. Higgins might give Terry more opportunity, because people probably would say, well, let's take him out of the game first, more so than Terry. So, he's a great talent, and he's somebody who I look forward to see what happens with him this offseason. I don't think T. Higgins really want to leave. I think he wants to stay around. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with him in Cincinnati.
As you look towards next year, Tanner, looking at what Jaden did this year, what do you think those possibilities are?
I think they're high. I think the one thing that I'm looking forward to see what he does, because I think when, we've all been those players, man, and we've all had that year 2 or year 3, and year 1 was different for everybody. But as a quarterback, more importantly, he has to build off of what he did, and he has to be somewhat consistent off of what he showed last year. And I think he's the guy for that. The one thing that I kind of keep replaying in my head is that year with RG3. Unfortunately, RG3 had a knee injury in that playoff game that now set him back from doing anything that he could have done to kind of get his body back. But you would think that when a person can't use their legs or do things, then they'll get their mental right. They'll get they'll be laser sharp when it comes to the film room part of it, and getting dive more into how these guys are going to come and probably, play coverage to make him, a better quarterback in that aspect of it. So knowing that Jaden is, when I watched him a couple of weeks ago talk about different quarterbacks that he saw, just how from some of their mannerisms, it shows you he's a student of the game, and he's very, he has a high IQ but I know that he's also one of those guys that have a good support system around. So I'm looking forward to seeing this guy not do much, probably vacate, get away for a little while, you know what I mean, and rest up, and then dive right back into getting himself better because, man, that's what you need around here. And I think he's one of those guys. He's one of those talents that he's not satisfied. We saw that week in and week out. Every week this kid came out and did something different than what he did before, and it wasn't less, it was better than what he did. So I think he's going to be one of those guys that's laser focused on just trying to be better than that, and also having a taste of the NFC Championship game. He's going to want more. He's going to want blood. He's going to want to go out there and say, look, man, we done been here already before. Now it's not new to us, so let's go out here and take this thing all the way. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the second year for young Jaden Daniels.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then Tana, last one for me. How important do you think it is that Cliff is sticking around?
Oh, that's so big, man. Oh my God, that's so big. I mean, you got to think about it, man. Like, not even being a quarterback, you know how tough it is to learn a new system. And I've been in them shoes for many years, man. When you bring a new system, man, now you got to scrap everything and throw it out the door, all the concepts, all the terminology. And most of the stuff kind of mirror each other, but it's still new. It's still new verbiage. And so now having a guy that can just sit there and say, I know all this stuff, or even if he asked up to it, I know what to be expected. Now the guys around him who we keep, the only people that's going to be learning it is the new guys that we add on, and that's okay with them. Especially when you have the quarterback intact that can help them and lead them through it. So I think that's huge for our team, but I think it's also even more huge for a quarterback, man, just to see that he has a chance to really grow with what he's already, learned, and don't have to worry about, taking his mind elsewhere this offseason and diving into a whole new playbook.
Straight consistency.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Consistency helps. Tana, thank you for making time
Enjoy
for us,
your
man.
trip, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys always.
All right, bro. Take care.
That's our guy, Santana Moss. Follow him on Instagram at 8 to the 9. Tana, one of the best people there are out there, man. Cooler than a polar bear's toenails.